My name is Danny Lynn, also known as Miss Oodelally from Oodelally Shop. Me and my family are plant-based eaters. Join me on this adventure of changing vintage cookbooks into plant-based recipes. These recipes are delicious for everyone. Hello everyone and welcome to Oodelally Shop's Cook With Me channel. Today we're making a dish from Betty Crocker's Dinner in a Dish. We're changing the Mai Kai chicken to be Mai Kai tofu. I'm also adding lots of colorful veggies to this dish. Let's get started. I'm going to start off cooking the rice. So I need to get the water into the pot. I'm following the directions from the package. So I need 1.5 cups of water and 1 cup of rice. Let's make that happen. Hey, I'm going to measure out the water. And get it into the pot. I'm turning it on high heat, and once it starts to boil, I'll add the rice and stir it, then turn it down and put the lid on. Let's measure out the rice. There's 1 cup of rice ready to go in the pan when the water's boiling. I'm going to put the rice away because that's all that we need. Let's move this stuff off of the cutting board. What I'm going to do is cut the tofu. I've already pressed the tofu so to drain out some of the water. I don't have a tofu press, so what I do is I put paper towel on the bottom, paper towel on the top, and then I place heavy items on top of the tofu to press it. I use our wood cutting board. Okay, I'm going to cut each slice of the tofu into triangles. I think this way looks really nice once you plate it. Oh, the water is boiling. Let's add the rice. Give it a stir. Turn the heat down to low and place the lid. There we go. Now we just keep an eye on it while it cooks. Let's finish cutting the tofu. I'm going to set the tofu aside and get the marinade for the tofu started. I'm going to add 1/2 cup vegetable broth. We make our own vegetable broth by saving the scraps when we're cutting carrots, peppers, onions. Add a tablespoon of coconut aminos. You can also use tamari. A pinch of chili flakes. I only use a pinch so it doesn't get too spicy. And some garlic. I'm going to grab a spoon. I'm going to add about 2 cloves. That seems good, of garlic. Okay, we also need some ginger. We don't have any fresh ginger at the moment, so I'm going to use ground ginger and 1 teaspoon. Okay. I'm going to use the garlic spoon and stir up the sauce. Give the sauce a little taste to see. I think it needs a little sweetness. So I'm going to add a little bit of honey. I know not a lot of people who are vegan and plant-based use honey. We do. So if you don't, you can add in maple syrup or agave instead. I'm just going to add a little drizzle. There we go. And I'm going to clean the rim so that the lid doesn't get stuck on. I'm back with the new spoon to stir in the honey. Okay, now that we have this, I'm going to add in the tofu and I'll get the veggies prepped so they can go in as well. The veggies I have are tomatoes and peppers. The green onions we're going to use in the sauce. Okay, into the marinade we place the tofu. It's okay if some of the pieces break. It will still taste delicious. I really enjoy listening to music while I cook. I have a really long playlist that has a lot of different music. Do you like listening to music while you cook? Let's see if we can get all of these. Fit into the pan. The tofu needs to sit for half hour to an hour. I'm going to put away the items that we already used so they're out of our way. Hey, let's switch spots. So this is going to be set aside and I'm going to get the cutting board. Hey, I'm going to cut the tomatoes and the peppers. Let's do the tomatoes first. Oops! I'm going to cut them all in half. When I drop things, that's Teddy Bear's favorite part of making dinner. She gets snacks. Hey, let's get all of the tomatoes sliced in half. Once they're all sliced in half, add them to the tofu marinade. I have all of the tomatoes cut. Now let's put them with the tofu. Alright. Here's the tofu. Let's sprinkle the tomatoes in. Next up, the peppers. I chose yellow and orange peppers. There was only one orange left to go in this dish because we already have red covered with the tomatoes and we have green with the green onions. Okay, now that I have all the peppers cut open, I'm going to clean out all the seeds and then give them a wash. I already washed them once, but I'm going to wash them again just to make sure I got all the seeds out. You can save the seeds and plant them and have them grow. I tried that last summer, but all of the squirrels and chipmunks in our garden ate the baby plants. Hey, I'm going to pop over to the sink and give these a rinse. They're all clean. Let's slice them in little strips. Once we have them all cut, they're going to go in with the tofu and the tomatoes. I'm stacking the peppers just so I can cut them a bit faster. Once you have them all cut, let's add them to the dish. Alright, and set it aside again. I'm going to check on the rice. Amazing, the rice is all done. Alright, to the rice, I'm going to add the garbanzo beans. I'm keeping the liquid with the garbanzo beans. The liquid part is called aquafaba. I really like the garbanzo beans made in our pressure cooker. And stir it in. I'm going to add the raisins to the rice as well. It's 3/4 cup raisins. I already have it measured out. Mix until it's well combined. I'm going to turn off the heat and put the lid back on. Hey, next we need to cut the pineapple. I have two choices for cutting the pineapple. One is I cut it myself. The other is I go, Dad, will you please cut the pineapple for me? But I think I'm going to try cutting it today. I'm going to break off the top. Now that I have it to here, I'm going to cut out the core. So I'm going to cut in at an angle and in at an angle. Till I get the core in the center that is hard out. So the video for cutting the pineapple, it didn't record. Though I can say, I think next time I'm going to choose the second option and ask my dad to cut it. Now that the pineapples are done, I'm going to place this in the fridge and we'll get started on the sauce. I'm going to wash my hands first. I cut off whatever else I could from the pineapple and then cleaned up, washed my workspace. This is going into the fridge while we make the sauce. To the saucepan, I'm going to put a tablespoon of butter and a tablespoon of flour. This is about a tablespoon of the butter and a tablespoon of flour. I'm going to put it on medium heat and melt that together. Wrong burner setting. There we go, medium heat. Into this dish, I'm going to put 1/2 teaspoon curry, a tablespoon of nutritional yeast. This is a great source of B12. And 1 teaspoon of garlic. Make sure that you're stirring the butter and flour so that they're well combined together. I'm going to let it go until it's a golden brown color. I'm just going to guess that this is about a teaspoon. So we have the curry powder, nutritional yeast, garlic, and I'm going to cut the green onions to go for the sauce. If you want to make your own veggie broth, you can save the pieces of the green onion. We save it all in a freezer bag, and once we have a full freezer bag, we put it on the stove top and boil the veggies, strain it, and it's delicious. Hello, Teddy Bear. You came to cook with me? She always hopes that we'll drop items while we're cooking. This is looking good. I'm going to add this bowl in with it. Okay, I'm going to remove it from the heat to do the next part. I'm going to add 1/4 cup coconut flakes. I'm going to use our handy dandy kitchen scissors to open this bag up. Okay, now we need 1/4 cup shredded coconut. I'm going to close up the bag with a twisty tie. So into the pot. And give it a stir around. Next we need coconut milk. I'm going to check in my notes how much coconut milk we need. We need 1 cup coconut milk. I like the silk coconut milk. I'm going to pop this back into the fridge now. Okay, mix with the wooden spoon as you pour the milk in slowly. Okay, now that it's added, it looks like it's thickening nicely. I'm going to pop it back on the stove top and bring it to a boil with consistent stirring so it doesn't burn. Before I do that, I'm going to go help Teddy Bear and see what's the matter. I'm turning it on high heat, and I'm going to stir it until it comes to a boil. We want to make sure to keep it moving so it doesn't burn. Once we're done with the sauce, we're going to cook the tofu in a pan with a little bit of coconut oil to brown it on both sides. The veggies and rice go into the cooking dish and get all mixed together. I'll lay the tofu on top, add the sauce, and bake it until it's heated through. Because it's tofu and not chicken, it doesn't have to be in the oven quite as long as the cookbook says. Alright, I'm going to turn off the heat and I'll come show you the sauce. It thickened nicely. I'm going to set this down and I'm going to give it a taste test to see if it needs anything. If you're going to taste test at this step, be careful because it will be super hot. I think I'm going to add just a little bit of coconut aminos and salt to pull the flavors together. So a little dash of coconut aminos and crack a little bit of salt. Alright, I'm going to mix it all together and grab a new spoon to see if that fixed it. Those little changes made the flavors come together more. It's very tasty. Alright, I'm going to set this aside. Let's clean up. Hey, we'll need the cashews to sprinkle on top, and the coconut oil is for cooking the tofu. I'm going to pull the tofu out and fit as many as I can in the pot with a little bit of coconut oil. I think I almost retrieved all the pieces of tofu. I think there's 2 more pieces. There's 3. Once we have them all out, they can start getting cooked in the pan with the coconut oil. Alright. In with the pineapple, tomato, and peppers, I'm going to add the rice. See here. Alright, the coconut oil is fully melted. I'm going to add the first pieces on medium heat to start cooking. Let's see how many I can fit. Looks like I can fit 10 at a time. Let's add the rice into here. I'm going to add the rice, which has the garbanzo beans and the raisins. Teddy Bear, go lay down. This isn't for you. I know it smells tasty. Hey, let's mix until it's combined. Preheat the oven to 350. I find that 350 is a good heat to cook the dishes in so that they heat through. All mixed. Oh, it sounds like the tofu is starting to cook. I'm going to change how it's sitting so I can hold the handle. We want to brown the tofu on both sides. Onto the top of the rice, I'm going to add the sauce. Make sure you're keeping an eye on the tofu. The tofu is sizzling. I'm going to check if it's ready to be flipped. Oh, not quite yet. There's the tofu. I think it's looking good. I'm going to flip it and see if it... We had to switch to the phone because the batteries on the camera died again. I'm going to flip the tofu and I'll get right back to you. Let's see, is it ready? It looks golden brown on that side. Let's flip them all over. Once they're cooked on both sides, I'm going to add it on the top. Let me show you how this is looking. Don't they look delicious? Teddy Bear sure thinks they smell good. She keeps begging for me to drop some food. Anything you'd like to say to the show? That was really interesting. It looks like both sides are done, so the first 10 pieces of tofu are going on top of the bake. Place them on top. We'll add a little more coconut oil to cook the next batch and maybe turn down the heat a little. Let's add a little more coconut oil and the next 10 pieces of tofu. Here's the oil, and I'm going to add in the tofu. I'm going to move them around to their positions where they can all cook evenly. Oh, the oven's preheated, but it's going to have to wait because we need all the tofu first. I'm going to move the tofu around so it's placed nicely. And I'm going to try the broken piece. Shh, don't tell anyone. It's very tasty. I'm very excited to eat this dish. I'm going to check on the tofu. Let's see if I can do this. Let's see. Is it ready to flip? I think it needs to go a little bit longer. Once we have all of the tofu, I'm going to place the cashews in a dish that it can be sprinkled on top when we plate it. The recipe calls for slivered almonds. We don't have that. So I think cashews will be a nice replacement. I've got the last pieces of tofu in the pan to cook. I've placed them on top, but it's getting close to the time I have to leave to go teach at LMA. So I'm going to turn off the oven and it will sit in the oven, and when we get back I'll heat it up. I'll show you once I have the rest of the tofu cooked. I've got the ring light behind me, but I'm going to pour the cashews into this dish. That way I can put the big container away And then I have the little bowl of the cashews that we can sprinkle on top of our plates. It's looking delicious. I'm gonna pop it in the oven. You can find buckles like this one that's holding my shirt tie on my website and on my eBay. My website is oodellallyshop.com and my eBay is lollysop. Both are linked in the description. If you are in love with Hawaiian shirts, my mom has some amazing ones listed on her eBay. Randomly Beauty-41. Link in the description as well. The Mai Kai tofu is in the oven with some aluminum foil over the top so it doesn't dry out. Let's get it out of the oven now. It looks delicious. I had so much fun making this dish with you. If you decide to make it, post it on Instagram and tag Oodelally Shop so I can see you having fun too. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. All of the links to my shops are in the description below. We'll see you next time for the first mini-sode of Season 1.